is Hiroko Nakao, and I'm a financial empowerment facilitator at Momentum. This is my first Zoom uh, webinar session, so please bear with me. I'm trying very hard to go as smooth as possible. Go ahead to do land acknowledgement first in a spirit of reconciliation. We acknowledge that we live, work, play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nation, Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. We are so lucky to have this webinar opportunity, and outside is just sunny and so lovely. We are so lucky to be here today. For the quick housekeeping, I know that some people using chat box, but just to hold not to use the chat box for now. We are more focusing on using Q&A instead, so we can capture all your comments or questions later on. Just to go ahead to talk a bit about us at Momentum. So Momentum is a nonprofit organization in Calgary and works with people living on low incomes and a partner in our community to create a thriving local economy for all. So at the moment, because of the social distancing and whatnot, our in-person programmings are on hold. However, we have a wonderful new support available for all of you community members and practitioners. So first of all, first one is called Money Management Helpline and Coaching. Myself also part of this helpline coach as well, but you can ask any question about money management, resource, and also a request for financial coaching as well. So please use this phone number, and or you can submit your inquiry through email as well. The second one is business helpline and coaching. This is a wonderful resource for everyone who have a small businesses or thinking about, and also like you can talk to professional coaches about your concerns regarding businesses and the resource navigation. The phone number is slightly different, so just kind of call this number and also this email address here as well. The last one, we offer employment helpline and coaching. So if you, your client, you know someone who is wondering about employment situation, how to navigate resources, resume writing, want to talk to the employment coach, please call this number, again, slightly different, or submit inquiry from, through email or our website. This all support is available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday at the moment. Okay, just a little bit of housekeeping. I think all of you know how to use Zoom. It's super popular now. This presentation will be about 25 minutes, and we have a Q&A period at the end. And all of you can use Q&A function to submit your questions during the time, or you can wait until at the end. And all our participants are mute right now. And you can also vote popular questions with a sum up as well, so that you don't have to submit the same question as other people submit already. Okay, so before we're gonna start, I'm just gonna do fun questions right here. It's called polls. And there are two simple questions to ask. Here we go. Launch questions. So the first questions, how comfortable are you talking about your money situation with someone else? Okay, so very uncomfortable, uncomfortable, neutral, comfortable, very comfortable. And also we want to know if you have ever taken financial literacy related training before. It doesn't have to be formal, but just to kind of want to know who is here. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, keep coming, keep coming. Okay, maybe, oh, still moving. Okay, so for the last 5 seconds, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and poll. All right, so I'm going to share results. Okay, so, okay, 10% of the people are very uncomfortable, and quite a bit of people is uncomfortable. And a lot of people are quite comfortable talking about your money situation. That's good. And it seems to be more than half of the people are somewhat taking financial literacy related training. So quite a bit of knowledgeable. That kind of makes sense that you feel comfortable talking about money as well. Great. Thank you so much for participating in this poll. Now, I would like to introduce our today's presenter, Lynn Engelman. She is a learning coordinator and financial education trainer at Momentum. So she's going to go through all of about financial first aid for practitioners today. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you. I'm just going to stop the video on myself so I can focus on the presentation here. Thanks again for the introduction, Hiroko, and thanks so much to everyone for joining us for the Financial First Aid for Practitioners webinar. During our time today, we're going to go over some simple and practical strategies on how to support people during the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly in relation to their financial concerns. Although we do hope the content in the webinar outlives COVID and you'll continue to find it useful. Today's session is designed to help frontline practitioners feel more comfortable supporting their participants through creating a safe space and to understand what questions might be most helpful to ask in the context of finances, and finally knowing where to direct participants in terms of resources. So before we move into the first slide, we want listeners to remember that this isn't about being an expert in finances or having all the answers. That's great if you do. I'd love to chat, but this is focused on feeling more confident that you can have conversations, at least preliminary ones, around money and help someone take the next step. And I can see in the poll that there are quite a few of you who have some level of comfort with that, so that's great. So in order to do that, we've tried to keep this presentation pretty high level and basic. We recognize there's a ton of information out there right now and that it's changing rapidly, and keeping up with it can feel pretty overwhelming. So we definitely didn't want to add to that. I'm also going to assume that most of you listening are doing some type of frontline work. And even if you aren't, I'm willing to bet that you still have really good skills when it comes to supporting someone who's feeling stressed or overwhelmed. I think what sometimes gets hard is when we introduce the word money or finances. It seems like once we hear that, all our wonderful skills, knowledge, years of experience just disappears. So again, today is really about you believing in your existing capacity to help, while also giving you a clear system or roadmap to channel those skills into some basic financial first aid for someone. And who knows, perhaps more of you will actually look forward to having money conversations in the future. Okay, so our financial first aid system, pared down, is really about trust through developing a safe space, about discovery through asking questions, and about action through linking to resources. So we're going to move into the first slide. Hiroko is my helper on this. Thank you. And we're calling this emotional first aid, creating a safe space. So we want to be a space where someone feels safe, they feel heard and accepted. Really, it's a lot about establishing that trust and doing so very quickly in some cases. This can be a bit tricky right now because we don't have as easy access to the visual cues from someone, those cues that will let us know how we're doing, like facial expressions or posture. So it's doubly important that we put some effort into establishing a safe environment, even over the phone or computer. Because our participants won't be able to hear us. I'd ask you just to take a second and ask yourselves how well you understand directions when you're frustrated, scared, angry. Probably not that well. So some of the ways that you can create that safe and comfortable space, and you can see on the slide, thanks Hiroko, is by being present. You know, even before you call someone or connect online, take a deep breath, try to remember to exhale, get in a comfortable position, and try to minimize your own distractions. This will really help you focus on the person and what they're sharing. In actual first aid courses, at least way back when I took first aid, there's a stage where you're assessing the safety of the area before you even assess the injured person. So I liken this to being similar to that, just kind of clearing our mental and physical areas as much as possible so we can proceed and be fully present for our participants. The next bullet point would be genuine, being genuine, respectful, non-judgmental. You can add your own words that you feel are important, and this can seem like second nature probably to a lot of us, but we have to be really aware of how threatening this can be for folks to talk about money. Generally, people don't have a lot of experience talking about their financial situations with someone else. In fact, it might be the very first time they're doing this. We often hear this in workshops or coaching sessions or even in trainings, that this is the first time and how hard it can be to get started for both participants and practitioners. So remembering to be genuine, respectful, and open is really important. The next bullet point, listen, listen, listen. Can't emphasize this enough. This isn't just passive listening. This means active listening. I've broadened this to include quite a bit, but it can be simpler interjections like, okay, right, those types of things. Throughout your conversation, you'll also want to really normalize and validate experiences. Validating is really great because it also serves the purpose of acceptance. That doesn't mean that you're agreeing necessarily. It just means that you're accepting someone's experience as valid and real for them. And then normalizing is about understanding that what the person is feeling is normal. And you can, for ways to do that, we're not going to go into that today. There's lots of good resources on the computer for that, or we might be able to provide you with some later on. The next bullet point, check for understanding. You can do through paraphrasing, clarifying, summarizing. Doing these things really helps show that you're listening and if you're on the right track to provide the right supports and information. They can also help you to identify the main problem, concern, or issue, which you can then use as your point of focus. I really like summarizing. This can be a useful tool to also help you wrap up the conversation and move to the next stage. And then I think we're behind maybe on bullet points here, but that's okay. There we go. Normalize, validate. Yeah, check your understanding through doing that paraphrasing and clarifying. And then the last point, I think on the slide, great. It's okay to not know. This is a really important one. It's okay to say, I don't know to your caller, or I'm not sure about that. But what we want you to try to do is finish off with, but I know where I can find out more, or I will get that answer and get back to you. Again, thinking back to that when we mentioned you don't have to be an expert in things, but it is really helpful to be able to at least point someone in the right direction or send them to somewhere where they can get that support. Okay, so I didn't want to spend too much more time on this slide, but it's a pretty big part of effectively helping someone, because whatever you do or suggest, no matter how brilliant, it's going to fall pretty flat if you don't have someone who trusts you and feels comfortable and safe, and then you're actually hearing them and care about their situation. All right, so you've created a healthy, safe, and welcoming space. Wonderful. I'm going to move on to the question slide, which is really about the discovery phase and what you can ask someone when it comes to their financial situation. Now, the intention in asking these questions or similar ones is simply to get the conversation started, to begin talking about their current financial situation, and to do so using skills from the previous slide. Once we start understanding what is going on for the person, the better able we are to identify what would be most helpful in the situation and to link them to resources. Okay, so helpful questions. You'll see the first one on the slide is about finding out what the current situation is. You can simply ask, what is going on for you right now? What is your number one concern or priority? You can also go right into, what is your financial situation? Asking about sources of income. We're just exploring at this stage. These questions are allowing someone to tell their story while also helping you get a clear picture of what's going on. I'm just taking a sip of water. One thing I wanted to add here is, don't be afraid to ask directly about money, especially if you've done the work to create that safe and trusting space, which includes continuing to use those active listening skills throughout this conversation period. I would also add that right now, due to COVID and how it's impacting everyone, it can almost be easier to talk about finances. I was doing some research on this, and I came across a website that said at the start of the year, there were 3 million people talking about saving and finances on social media. But by March, when all of this started, that number was over 5 million. So in some ways, I guess if there's a silver lining to COVID, it's maybe made it a little bit easier or more common to talk about money. Okay, so the next question, once you've kind of done that first exploring question, would really be around figuring out, what have they done so far? What has worked for them financially? This is still exploring, but we're also working on acknowledging what they have done and what has been working well. When we do financial empowerment work, we're really doing it from a strength-based experience. So this is a really good opportunity to acknowledge their strengths as far as what has been working for them, or what they've been attempting to do. Again, it's understandable that people are in a negative space, and that can be really hard to overcome, but this can be a really opportune time to highlight some positives. We're not trying to sugarcoat how hard it is, but we're also trying to honor what they've achieved and support them to perhaps shift some perspectives. With that, we want to start to focus the conversation. So we could go on to the next one, Hiroko, and by identifying what would be the most helpful. Okay, so they've identified concerns. We've talked about some strengths. It should be easier to hone in on what would be most useful for their situation right now. You could simply ask, what do you need the most right now? Again, not being afraid to dive in further. The last question, I think it's our last question, knowing what to do next. So based on what you've learned, you can start to work on the next step, which is often talking about some resources and connecting your caller to them. And we'll get to those in just a minute. But you also want to make time to ask how they are feeling after you've asked those first few questions. Is there anything missing? Generally, as uncomfortable as we anticipate money conversations are, we find that people generally feel pretty good about it and relieved and eager to talk again after they've had that initial session. It can also be helpful to ask, do you know what to do next? And how do you feel about doing that? This question is really action-oriented, right? Resource connection is a natural way of creating an action plan for your client. So these questions and these, I guess, last two slides are really about providing a good space for your participants to tell you about their financial situation. You know, financial matters are pretty difficult topics to discuss. So having that safe space to share financial concerns can be really empowering, as is being walked through the conversation with the right questions, and then having something concrete or practical to do. And that's the action piece in all of this. So I'm going to, at this stage, I'll turn it over to Hiroko, who's going to walk you through some resources, and then we'll be able to come back and summarize and hopefully have some room for some questions. Thanks, Hiroko, for walking me through the slides.
Thank you, Lynn. So I'm just going to take over from this slide. So resources. We really recognize that so many places that you can find the resources. We compiled most trustworthy financial related resources that we use all the time. And one tip that I can think of for anybody start doing this type of work or supporting your client participant's financial situation, kind of practice or just pick what you really most comfortable, using that resource. So those are the things. One momentum, we do have a page that dedicated to financial support for people impacted by COVID-19. So this page is compiled of all of the different kind of financial resources, government benefits, and taxes, all of that, and then regularly updated. So I myself are going back and forth this page. And also like money management helpline, hopefully for your resource as well. We do get a call from practitioners, question about their clients' concerns, how to find the resources. We are happy to support that kind of questions as well. And again, Government of Canada, they constantly updating. As you know, benefit has been updated, changed almost daily, weekly. And also Government of Alberta, provincial like benefits can be a little bit different. Sometimes it's like a kind of a little bit tricky to follow, but we follow those two government website. And debt, just to first encourage you to maybe guide your participant to Credit Counseling Society in Calgary or Money Mentors. Both of them are very reputable nonprofit organizations to help debt management. And then they do also dedicated page around the COVID-19. Aspire website, this is Financial Empowerment Collaborative in Calgary, have amazing resources and also agencies that collaborate and work on financial empowerment. Prosper Canada, they also like a nationwide financial empowerment organization, have a lot of different resources around money management, budgeting, coaching, all of that. For a participant and also frontline practitioners, we recommend Financial Consumer Agency of Canada. Again, this is a federal government website, uses plain language, have a lot of different resources, talking about loan product, credit, all of the things in very simple, digestible language. Highly recommend. So last four is most crucial at this time. Canadian Bankers Association. Financial institutions are really stepping up to provide supportive measure to customers. But this association is really essential to financial institutions in Canada. So check it out. They do have unbiased, updated information around the financial product. Insurance Bureau of Canada also stepping up, taking a measure around finance, insurance product, policy, payment, premium, and that kind of stuff. Utilities Consumer Advocate, Alberta, we had a money talk Tuesday, past Tuesday, had staff from this organization to talk about what sort of deferral available. So their website have all of that information available, how to talk to utility companies. If you have a trouble paying bill at this time, they do have a mediator that maybe can advocate on behalf of you as well or your client. And lastly, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Mortgage deferral has been discussed beginning of this pandemic. And also this website have unbiased, updated, accurate information. So if you have those website in your toolbox, probably you're okay. And also you have confidence to share those resources with your clients or participant as well. So this is a linking piece that hopefully you can link your participant with those like kind of resources. If they wanted to talk to someone, we are here to help you as well. Lastly, practitioners always needs to take care of ourselves. But there is unfortunate things happening, like here, warning for high cost lending. It's already discussion is on the rise. People are, desperate situation financially. High cost lending can be a resource for those people. However, what we can do is to, again, call us and talk to us, find other ways to get ends meet, and also encourage your participants to talk to financial institution, lower interest, all of the things before access think of high cost lending. Frauds and scams. Money Talk will focus on this in a few weeks down the road. But again, unfortunately, there are a lot of frauds, scams, a penny sort of investment, all of the things coming up. So please maybe ask your participants those kind of experience or risks might go around, so watch out for. Lastly, self-care. Financial conversation can be very heavy, and that it's not easy to listen sometimes. And at this point, everybody is in the same boat. You and I and the neighbors, everybody dealing with financial stress. Some people are really stretching to ends meet, uncertainty. So please have some self-care toolbox in place. Debrief is always great. We do that all the time. And so that will be additional tips for you as a practitioners. So now I'd like to open up to a question and answer period. So please use the question and answer box and give us a lot of questions that you have throughout the webinar. And hopefully we can answer some of your concerns, so like wondering stuff. And also like you can upvote other people having the same questions. And then I wanted to piggyback on that. Please do so. All right, there's 3 questions. Lynn, are you here?
I am, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to read the questions. If you could answer that or kind of create the discussion. Yeah, so can you please send us the resource page as a follow-up email to the workshop, please, so we can send it to people with a link? Absolutely. We're going to send you the recording as well as attachment. So please widely share with your networks. Okay, So next one is for you, Lynn. I was trying yesterday to determine whether people currently on EI having their claim extended due to COVID-19. Do they continue to be covered, or do they need to apply for CERB?
Oh, geez, Hiroko, this might be something you're giving our helpline discussions.
Would you like to go ahead first, or do you want me?
Go ahead on that. I'll see if we're
Okay.
on the page.
Okay. So people are currently EI and extended to COVID-19. So COVID-19 is a full period, 4 months basically. And if that person is run out EI and switch over to, runs out, then switch over to CERB. But at this point, maybe your participant check with EI office just to make sure that transition happened. I hope that's answered the question.
Hiroko, can I add something, please?
Sure.
Thank you. So if they were currently on EI, then their benefits will be extended. It rolls right into the COVID-19. So what I would do is have your client check and see if they've received the $2,000, and that will answer your question first and foremost. So as I understand it, if you are on EI when this started, so as of March, it does roll right into the COVID-19, the CERB benefit. Okay. However, if they ended their EI beforehand, then they do need to reapply for the CERB.
I think there were some discussion around too how people were applying, be it through CRA or Service Canada, that was confusing. But I don't know if this is the right forum for that too. But getting clarification on that.
Thank you. By the way, this was Jody, another financial empowerment facilitator here, answering your questions and also like facilitating this webinar. Okay, next question. Are there any financial resources for high school students or 19 to 24 who live by themselves for rental or income support? Jody, Lynn, do you have any comment on that?
Yes. So this morning, Justin Trudeau had a press conference regarding how they are going to aid students in this time, because students were definitely left out of the CERB. My understanding is that if you graduated in December 2019, so that's not 2020, obviously December up to December 2019, you are eligible up to $1,200 a month beginning in May. So it's for students that have been in post-secondary already or are looking to start post-secondary come September. So my guess is if it is a student who has graduated by 2019, December 2019, but if they are currently in high school, I haven't heard any announcements about that. It might be best to call the CRA in that situation.
Thank you. The next question. I have clients who are trying to arrange prescriptions to be delivered, but are denied because they don't have a credit card. Is there any other type of credit option if they have a poor credit history and do not qualify for credit card?
Oh, that's a good one.
Lynn, do you have any comments on?
I'm not sure. That's kind of surprising to me, to be honest, when it comes to prescriptions, that there wouldn't be another means of paying for those besides a credit card. Maybe where they're getting the prescriptions, I'm not sure. It might be worth a phone call. But as far as other credit products, I don't know if checks in this case would still work, or if it's just cash that I'm not sure I totally understand it. not wanting, or if it's just somehow securing, paying ahead of time and being able to pick it up. How could you do that?
Yeah.
Sounds like
I wonder like if debit credit would work.
yeah, that's right. I bet it would. That's a great idea.
And
So
also credit card gift cards that are, credit function.
Mhm.
Two of the products is interchangeably be able to use on online shopping as well. So I wonder if that might be an option.
I hear someone see someone in the chat
Oh,
talking about a great option for it. It just flashed up for debit credit, but I think that is a good idea. I'm going to assume that that would work.
hmm. Um, so the next question is, are you able to, oh, sorry, I'm just kind of keep coming. So are you able to re-show the slides for a mute? So like this slideshow will be sent it out to everybody as well as the recording. So be able to review that later, hopefully. Two parts questions. Are there any additional supports right now for people on Alberta Works, AISH, to deal with some of the exceptional costs they are facing?
That's definitely a good question. So you're saying they were on Alberta Works, is that it?
Alberta Works or AISH to deal with some of the
Yeah, I mean,
exceptional.
in some ways, Hiroko was mentioning some of the utilities supports, and if you're renting, there's more information that you can access about your kind of protection with that. I'm thinking about taxes in our webinar coming up. I think it's next week, is it? Doing your taxes. And so making sure that you're getting all the benefits, or if you have children, I think there's an additional boost to the May payment. I'll benefit. Others chime in on me here. I'm really going from my memory on this. There's other supports from food supports, mental health supports, because it can be so stressful. I know that doesn't automatically result in more income, but I think all of those things can help us sort of weather the storm a bit more.
Yeah, so from my understanding is they are not eligible for the CERB because they are already receiving benefit from the government. And if you're receiving either Alberta Works or AISH, then you likely were not working, right? You are receiving the government benefits due to not working. Now, there are some people who work very part-time on AISH or Alberta Works, in which case they could apply. However, for the people on AISH, their AISH money will be dialed back regarding how, or depending on how much they get from the CRB. So if they receive the $2,000, they will lose their AISH payment. So it's not like they can get both at the same time. But other than that, I agree with Lynn. It would mostly be just different community resources available to them, not really a government money resource.
Great,
Thanks.
thank you. So the next question is, do you know if there is any financial support for people who are still employed but not receiving any income or wages from their employer because they are not getting any hours to work and is related to COVID-19 situation? For example, a person who usually works 20 to 25 hours a week at the grocery store, person is still employed, is not getting scheduled to work at this time. This is like I think the sort of like a prime example for CERB. After the update, so people who are reduced and still working but very minimum amount, but reduced work hours due to COVID-19. Those people also now can apply for CERB. So I really encourage you to look at the website to see the eligibility if that hit like applies to those people. Any additional comments, Lynn and Jody?
No, I thought that too. That's great.
Okay. Yeah, there are a couple of comments for the previous questions, like a secure credit card and person cannot get the medication delivered. So secure credit card is one of the option, and also debit card that has a Visa option. So that would be great. Okay, so the next question is, if a person make less than $1,000 on Alberta work, can they apply for CERB? I think Jody touched on that.
Right. So no, because it was an Alberta Works, it was a benefit from the government. No, you cannot then apply for the CERB, unfortunately. It has to be a loss of income due to COVID-19.
Right. Thank you. The next one is, what is the interest rate at which lending is considered high cost or excessive? What does the law says about this? Lynn, would you like to comment on this?
Well, I think anything, it used to be, payday lenders, it was around 59%. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was exorbitant, right? Like, how can that still be acceptable? I mean, they would get away with more because of fees and such. I think, that can be sort of subjective, but, regular sort of bank cards can hover around, what, 20%?
Yeah.
And then store cards, those will start going up, things like City Financial, to 29%. It's really, to me, you'd obviously want it to be the lowest you could possibly have it be. And a lot's just going to depend on your situation, on your income and what your expenses are. But the lower the interest rate, always the better. Sometimes it's, you have a higher cost one because that's what your situation is right now. And that can work out too if you're able to have a plan to pay that back and have some regular income, but it's just being really aware of the range that's there. And I don't know, feel free to add. I'm not sure that totally addressed.
No, I think that's a kind of, we consider anything like, above a store card, regular unsecured credit card, which is a range from 19 to 25.6. That would be the range that normally people have. Anything above seems to be high, 35, 36, 7, 8. Those can be a high cost of lending or loan. And okay, so the next one is, do you have any resource links or ideas for dual citizens US who are stuck abroad due to financial issues? I don't know the answer to this. Maybe better to ask pose question to CRA, perhaps. They might have some answer to that. So the next question is, if people are self-employed, what benefits are open to them? So this question answer or resources on our webpage. So please visit our Momentum Financial resources for people impacted by, and also give us a call to business helpline and coaching. They can kind of work you through it. What can you do to support people who do not qualify for government benefits through COVID? So this is a lot of confusions right now. People who qualify, not qualify. Again, as a practitioner, we do, if you not sure about the answer, usually going back to looking at the trustworthy resources and then come back, like, and then go through that eligibility with your clients or participants. Most likely people who are not impacted by our financial resource would be go through Alberta Works.
Yeah, we also, I mean, that's a good plug for the employment helpline, employment coaching and helpline. I have had a couple conversations with folks who are on income support, and just really, after talking to them, they really want a job, you know, and understandably, and it's going to be harder now than ever. And so being able to have supports like the employment coaching and just working on some of that can be really helpful too for kind of the hard skills, but also just mental health, to have that goal and to be working towards it with somebody really skilled to help you reach it. I think all those things don't always result in immediate fixes, but this may be a long-term gain that's really beneficial and worthwhile referring folks to right now.
Thank you. The next question is, there are a few more questions to go through. Hopefully, like, people have a bit of time. I just want to make sure to answer some questions as much as we can. Do you know if there is any financial help for those on age receiving government benefits who have been laid off from their part-time job due to COVID-19? So yes, age recipient can work, and if laid off the part-time job portion, they could be able to apply for CERB. So please look at the, again, updated eligibility on government website. I believe your participant can apply through CERB CRA website. So the next question is, yes, great. Are you aware of any agencies that are willing to complete free income tax? So next week, Money Talk focus on income tax, and there is an agency that offer some support here in Calgary as well. So please stay tuned. We are still working on the content. So please sign up for our Money Talk and come back next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. We're going to have that information towards the end of the slide as well. The next one is, I have heard from more than one source that the CERB has to be paid back. I know it is a taxable income, but I'm sure that it does not have to be paid back. Could you please clarify in case I get questions get asked this question?
I think
Jody, do you have any?
I'll try. Jody may want to jump in because we were just discussion. I think it really depends on if who you apply through. My understanding was, if you're going through Service Canada, that you may, well, in either case, Service Canada or through CRA, it's probably the onus could be on you if you apply in the same period, that you may have to pay that back at tax time next year. I think one way is a little bit longer. Maybe that's a Service Canada way, so it might be a bit more rigorous, and it would be, what am I trying to say? Perhaps easier to not apply more than once or get more than, is your allotment versus going through CRA. I don't know, Jody, I might have that backwards, but I think you do have to be aware that it's not a perfect system right now, as I understand it. And if you're getting extra money, you probably would have to pay that back.
And so, yeah, I would second that for sure, Lynn. The only time you'll have to pay the CERB back is if you have received it twice when you're not eligible. So if you've applied for it in more than one way, so whether it's been through the website and then on the phone, or however you have done it, if you've applied for it twice and received the same check twice, yes, you'll have to pay that back. However, if you've applied for it and you're eligible for it and you've received the money, no, it doesn't get paid back. It is taxable though, so it is something to be aware of to let clients know. However, most of our clients will be in a low enough tax bracket that it shouldn't be too damaging come tax time next year. If it's okay, Hiroko, I'll just jump right into the next question that
Yes,
says,
please.
yeah, that says some participants have been receiving 2 payments of $2,000 from the CERB, about $4,000 for this month. Are they going to have to pay it back? So again, that, if you can remember, the CERB is retroactive, right? So it's actually retroactive back for March 15th. So if you've gotten a check for $4,000, chances are you're receiving the retroactive and then the $2,000 that you're eligible for right now, because it is $2,000 a month for 16 weeks. So they might just be receiving the next payment. If they have any questions though, and they're concerned about whether or not they are eligible for that second payment, they should definitely phone, because it would be way better to phone and find the information out than at tax time next year be stuck paying back $2,000 that you don't have. Does that answer the questions okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. Just to have a conscious on our time, so maybe we will kind of narrow it down to 2 more questions, and then people who ask questions, we will definitely get back to you on a more like a kind of typing behind the scene. So the next question is there any support for people on Alberta income support to get access to the internet? So like as far as I know, some providers offer cheaper options, and a lot of like places, companies, utility companies, including internet providers, are really kind of trying to support people. One of the major company offer free one as well to the family member, like a family with children. So just call around and ask if they have like a better plan, lower price package. The next question is, this is going to be the last question. Sorry, everybody, just concerning about concerns around the time. With child tax benefit, since the deadline for taxes has been extended, can clients wait for the new deadline to file taxes, or will they be cut off to receive child tax if they don't file based on the previous tax deadline? Jody, Lynn, would you like to comment on that, or?
So I haven't heard for sure yet, and I know it might have been released, but I personally haven't heard what that answer is. I'd like to guess and say no, they won't miss out on it. But even still, the tax filing deadline is June, right? And it doesn't. They don't generally cut your child tax benefit off until August if you haven't filed. So as long as the client files by June, they should be fine.
Yeah. I will echo that. So now is extended 2 months extension, and so during that time, nothing. We guess is nothing will change. So please come back to the next week Money Talk. We might be able to get better answer to that as well. Okay, I just gonna go back to our main slide. So thank you so much, everybody. So for more information, please visit our updated COVID-19 resource blog. There is a tiny URL.com/momentum COVID-19. Our policy specialist really like looking into CERB resources, benefits, analyze it, and post it in a plain language. And also find us in our social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And so this is the next week Money Talk Tuesdays. Jody is hosting this Money Talks every week. And we do talk about income tax, how to file it, where to file it, what's the way of filing it during the COVID-19. And lastly, please connect with us if you have lots of people have questions. You guys are all more than welcome to connect. Business, employment, money management. We are here to help you and your participants. Those are the numbers, and then those information can be found on our website as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to and joining us at our webinar series, Financial First Aid for Practitioners.